Hello class, my name is Mr. Tannous and we are in Sociology, Anthropology, and Psychology, grade 11, University Prep, HSP 3U. And before we get started today with our lesson, I'm just going to do a little demonstration using dominoes on a very important part of this lesson. So you just follow me here. So for example, I get paid all of these dominoes to build a shed. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab some of them, let's say 4, to person A. And I'm gonna give person A 4 dominoes to get the materials and get it set up to build this shed for me. And then person A is going to take their 4 dominoes and they're just gonna give 1 to person B. And person B is going to build the shed and do the physical labor and that is how this shed is going to get built. So this is an example of what? It's an example of capitalism, right? A huge part of sociology. Today we're going to be really focused on sociology. And capitalism works, right? We're outsourcing, and as you can see, I was left with a lot of dominoes. Meanwhile, I only gave up 4, but I still have almost 20 of them here. And that's just the way distribution works. So to begin, we have the 3 founders of sociology. Can anybody here tell me who they are? All right. So first one over here. This one is Karl Marx. Next one, Max Weber. And the third one over here is Emil Durkheim, right? All 3 of these guys are considered the 3 founders of sociology, some of the most recognized sociologists in the world. So to start, we're going to learn about Karl Marx real quick. A little brief recap on what we've already learned about him. So, right, 19th century German sociologist, and he spent most of his life in London, England, because he was actually exiled from Germany because of his political views. And his studies, they really revolved around politics, economics, society. And obviously, Karl Marx, his big theory was Marxism, and it was heavily influenced by the Industrial Revolution of capitalism. Right? So his big idea was the bourgeoisie, which is the ruling class, versus the proletariat, which is the working class. So as you can see, I kind of demonstrated that as the very first person with all the dominoes was the bourgeoisie, and they gave their money to the working class, just a little bit of it, to pay for the shed and maximize profit. So what Karl Marx really encapsulated was that the working class capitalism is the way society flows. Marxism theory is the way society flows within capitalism. All dictated by capitalism. Our second founder, Max Weber. So 19th, 20th century German sociologist. He had 3 pillars to his theories. So rationalization is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of shying away from religion, because around this time we're shying away from religion, going towards capitalism, industrial revolution. So you choose what makes sense, what is more rational, what is better for you, rather than what religion would say and just almost following it blindly. So, right, and then secularization is that shift away from religion. As you secularize from religion, and then you secularize industries, and leads towards capitalism. And the third one is disenchantment, also going away from religion, just kind of throwing away those values to move towards a society that is focused on making money, the Industrial Revolution. So we saw religion-based shift to market-based. It's taken over society as its secularization began to tear down religious values in favor of capitalistic trends and norms. So this is also attributed to the Protestant ascetic, to the Industrial Revolution. So now analyzing how a very Catholic Europe at the time was so easy to move towards a capitalist society, right? They're all Catholic, and that was huge back then. Religion really dictated the world. So now they're showing how he's really analyzing how the Protestants, who shifted from the Catholics, are taking over, and their ethics, their beliefs, their norms are what are kind of swaying the world. And our third sociologist is Emile Durkheim. He was a French sociologist from the 19th, 20th century, and most of his focus was on how society transitioned through modernity in a time where religion was being broken down and capitalism was emerging through the cracks. So he believed religion created a regulation in society, which is the collective conscience. And the collective conscience really is about how religion gives us a set of norms and values that we all follow to keep a steady, free-flowing, regulated society. It was a moral code that we all abided by, and that was a collective consciousness. And then also he focused on division of labor, something I also demonstrated. So class relations, how upper and lower classes interacted, right? The higher bourgeoisie, they paid the lower class to do the physical labor. So right now, we're going to get into some research methods. So that's a huge part of sociology, so we'll touch on that and go through the different kinds of research methods. Oh no. So, research methods over here, we have the first one, which is surveys. So, what is a survey? When do we conduct it? It's used to collect quantitative data. And what is quantitative data? Sorry, I'm having interruptions. My roommates are coming home. If they could quickly squeeze by. Okay, sorry about that. So surveys, when do we conduct a survey? It is used to collect quantitative data. And what is quantitative data? It is when it's numbers, right? High numbers. And that's what surveys target, right? We want to target a large group of people, and it usually involves quick questions, yes or no, or like even scale questions. It can be administered via paper Scantron. We see that a lot with multiple choice forms. Or it could even be questions over the phone, let's say telemarketers or anything like that. And surveys a lot. So tell me when did it.
Go.
Okay, so as we're saying, surveys, they can be anonymous for the most part. They're sent in or they're administered, and usually you don't put your name on it. You do it up real quick, and it's just used to collect a large amount of quantitative data, quick responses. Our next method here, pretty similar to surveys, are questionnaires. So also quantitative data is what we're looking at. And it's good for those that don't have time to stick around for a survey. So you can actually just hand them the questionnaire, and they can take it home, do it, and then bring it back, fill it in. So it can also be done anonymously, right? Piece of paper, you don't necessarily have to write your name. But the questions can range and have a little more variation than actual surveys. So they can range anywhere from multiple choice, scaled questions, open-ended, and even closed-ended questions. There are a lot of options with questionnaires, and it's nice to be able to have that option to take it home. So our third method here is an interview. So when do we conduct an interview is when we want qualitative data. And does anybody know what qualitative data is? Right, qualitative data is more personal information. It's with a smaller group of people, and that's how the best way to collect with interviews. So an interview, it's usually done for the most part one-on-one, and it can't be performed anonymously, like at the time, but things can be muffled, sound could be muffled, or the names on the transcript can be changed for it to be anonymous. So yeah, it can be published with anonymity. So it's primarily done face-to-face, but with technology, we can still, right now, we can do over like telephone, Skype, FaceTime, anything like that, as long as it's recorded. And a big part about interviews is consent is required. So you must tell your interviewee what you are doing, why you're doing it, make sure they're comfortable. It must be conducted very ethically.